Yo, how's it going? Welcome to the Mighty Gulliver Minecraft Breakdown with me, your host, the amazing Rodney12. After spending 2 hours trying to get over a crushing blow to my self-esteem after the female voice I hear in my head sternly refused the glowing fake pineapple I had purchased for her as a gift, I decided to get back to making Minecraft content.
On the last episode of the Minecraft Breakdown.
After getting bullied by a subscriber into making an episode I didn't want to make, I used the magical time reversing clock I was rewarded with in an episode I haven't made yet. The magical device allowed me to explain how I did stuff while I undid it so I could feel clever about inventing a plot device that would make my content more interesting. This episode will begin where I left off in part 1, but for those of you that have no memory or play life on hard mode by watching part 2s before part 1s, I'm currently midway through the unerection of a wooden frame. I got this far into the removal of the storage facilities framework before I was bored in real life, so I made a note not to bore folk talking about it, so here are the footnotes. Frame gone. The connecting bit that I'm sure has a proper constructionary type name other than walkway was unconnected, and the opening I was left with was plugged up with transparent cubes of my favourite material. Dum 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 dum. Glass! Ah! Note spawns on it! After another potato shot out my mouth, I had this moment where I was like, why am I down here? Then my ankles and knees hurt like fuck and I suddenly fell upwards to the ledge of the creeper farm. I finished the last of the walkway because apparently I lied to you later, apologies. As dawn was setting, I began to smash buttons into existence on the creeper farm roof to ensure that notes spawned. My pickaxe was far too new for my liking, so I uncrafted it and after a few long minutes rewound themselves. All the buttons had been placed down. I removed the first lot of coal and sand I made and then took down the quintuple furnace system. I went to bed and had a dream that I never finished making this bloody episode, which didn't really happen. I'm just well pissed off in real life and wanted to convey that I've had many regrets by this point. Anyway, I mooched backwards to my camp, reduced the furnaces back into cobblestone and rehoused the coal, sand and whatever, and the oak stuff from my inventory and put it into their respective chests. As you can see, I had lined the creeper farm with oak planks to keep things aesthetically pleasing, but I decided to go back to the way it was so I could have the hindsight to do it again later. Planks were removed from the north side as fast as I could and my brain nearly exploded as I remembered exactly which dirt and stone blocks to place back in a specific order. The last layer of dirt was fun to recombobulate as grass blasted back onto the surface. The glass lining was put back and in between the odd potato emerging from my mouth, which I was literally getting sick of. Haha, get it? The other three sides were done with little fuss. The planks were stored away for previous use. Job undone. Potato! Now, while your boy was chilling in the cut, maxing and relaxing and a few other hip-hop related terms that basically translate to calmly standing about looking and feeling dope, all of a sudden I had a very horrible sensation literally ripple very warmly through my body, causing me to scream inversely. I wasn't 100 on exactly what was happening until a smoky haze in the air alerted me to an impending implosion. The pain I was experiencing rapidly vanished at the exact same moment the fiery ball of ouch reduced itself into the form of a creeper who then moonwalked away from me into the distance. Living through second degree burns backwards was definitely the strangest sensation of the week. After my 4-life experience with the creeper, my thoughts reverted to nether portal relocation. Yo, Rodney12, the Mighty Gulliver here. How's it going? Look, to be honest with you...
Why do you usually lie to me?
Alright, I asked for that. But, sorry to break the immersion of this episode because I'm about to do some nether portal rejigging about and stuff like that, and I cannot word it in this strange reverse language that I'm making up and it is popping my fucking head. So we're just going to take it as a given, just concede with me, just bear with me, that those portals got moved about, which they did, but you know what I mean. I'm struggling to explain it. Just bear with me, this is a really hard episode to do for some reason. I'm trying. How are you? You having a good day? Yeah? Doing much? Thanks for watching. Yeah. Just as a quick summary so you're not missing out, for visual reference, my original portal was here and I moved it inside my base to here. And after I did some maths, the nether portal located in the nether was shifted up a little bit yonder into the tunnel leading to the witch hut from episode 8. And for those eagle-eyed dickheads that are scrutinising me and keeping track of my time travel induced bulimia, 2 potatoes were wrapped up during the portal switch. Even though my base was well lit and mostly glass floors to prevent mob spawns, I decided it wasn't dangerous enough. Potato! My next task was to fuck with the internal ambience by removing the torches that illuminated my dwelling, which didn't take long at all. Ladders were next to go and I started to remove one side from the middle floor's central pillar. I can't read my writing. Dawn was receding and instead of sleeping I got distracted by the bed as it was in a spot too convenient for my liking. Running forth and back seemed to be the way forward from now on, so I pegged it to the camp to put the sleeping apparatus back to where it used to be, but not before reducing the ladders to sticks and smushing the sticks back into planks, as you do. The 40 winks generator was plonked down and used immediately to usher in the evening before. The rest of the middle floor's ladders were removed and then I reverse fell up to the top floor where I began to deconstruct the glass platform and remove the pillar itself. Potato! The excess glass I had was stored, and to cut another boring long story short, the central platform and pillar were removed and the ladders allowing access to the ground and the middle floors that I had placed on the outer structure, here, were also taken down because I didn't feel like I needed to journey upstairs anymore. I quickly unreminded myself to text Roxana about the amethyst looking shards growing at the root of my base just about as quickly as I unnoticed them, and then I was hit with the urge to leave the premises and seal up the base so I couldn't get inside it. During the de-renovation of the doorway, the sensation of excitement trickled out of my body slowly. It was kind of like buying yourself a present but having to wrap it up for later without the disappointment, which actually doesn't even come close to what the feeling actually felt like, but if I think of something more appropriate I'll edit it in later. To make sure the moving out process was complete, the stairway leading up to my base was also deconstructed. Potato! I had used a mixture of oak planks and oak slabs to create a lovely triangular incline as regular stairs looked shit. 4 minutes later, fuck knows. With the ramp of ingress now disposed of, slabs were transformed back into planks and stockpiled in this chest for when I had to put the stairs back. I decided to put the entry point to my base here as it was the closest place to land, but I suddenly wasn't so sure, so I looked back over my other options just in case I missed out. Option C would have required a rather large stairway installation, which I visualised would look something like this. It looks cool and shit, but it's kind of messing with this area which I have plans for at some point in my future. Option B was a bit more of the same. And option A was almost where I was going to put the point of entry, but I had a few plans to put the FUC Kingdom entrance somewhere around here and I didn't want them to potentially collide. I had a lot of unthinking to do. Becoming less concerned with the literal ins and outs of my base, all plans were eventually forgotten as I remembered that I had a job to finish starting and I needed some dirt to do it.
It's dirty dirt.
I'm feeling myself hard after creating that. Over at my vines and shears chest, where I keep my vines and shears for the times that I need vines and or shears, I retrieved some dirt.
It's dirty dirt.
Finally, on the first leg of my mission, I ran around the exterior of my newly grown base and scattered blocks everywhere. Potato! I set about re-erecting some dirt scaffolding. It was fun watching the dirt jump off the floor and recombining itself as I waved my shovel about. Time travel voodoo. Eventually I had some nifty walkway set up around the lower stem of the base, but we'll get forward to that later. For the main base scaffold I chucked loads more dirt about and cracked on blah 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 blah. Who gives a fuck about the finer points of dirt scaffolding resurrection? I'm boring myself again. So now we're at this point, where the only subject of mild interest is that ladders were attached here to allow for smooth transitions up and down the y-axis. Ooh. Smooth transitions! I wanted the base to return to its former glory and have that special I grew in the earth and broke through the ground kind of feel to it. So I started placing blocks back exactly where they were when I removed them. Every part that was the roof was lovingly redecorated and layered with the blocks that were there before. Remembering shit is easy when you're paddling backwards through the time stream, and every time I was like, what block was here? My brain was like, this one, dickhead. Learning not to question my brain's reverse urges got easier, but I was looking forward to moving forwards again as reverse movement was definitely not natural. Mental and physical therapy were totally going to be on the cards after this was over, and I still had to undo everything I had just undone anyway. Filling in the last few blocks of the roof, I started taking down the ladders leading to the roof, and then I got pleasantly distracted by the days before's evening sunset rising, and then things got a bit weird. I descended the scaffold for what seemed like no reason, and then I started to dump my inventory onto the ground. Then I was overwhelmed with feelings of panic and stupidity as I ran to my bed. I had a brief-ish what moment when I realised exactly what was about to happen. I blacked out for a second, saw God's face, woke up in a different location on the floor and felt a very brief but immense pain as I defied gravity and hurtled up towards the ledge of the scaffolding. Once there, I unshipped myself, lost and regained balance, took a step back and positioned myself securely to the top of a ladder which I descended down very quickly. The experience of reverse death was not a pleasant experience. A moment of brief reflection was had. Unwandering back to my uncrafting table, I unmade the tools I had refurbished to pristine condition by unusing them and turned some sticks back into planks like some Minecraft DIY Jesus. With the base getting closer to its original look, it was over to the vines and shears chest where I keep my vines and shears for the times that I need vines and or shears, because this was actually a time that I specifically required vines and shears. No longer feeling the need for storage, I unplaced the empty chest and uncrafted them. Staring at the stem of my freshly grown base, I kinda wondered how unshearing stuff would work. It wasn't unlong before both my curiosity and satisfaction dwindled as I began to hastily unsnip freshly cut vines onto the planks which reformed and reattached themselves to the oak stem. Time travel voodoo. After a bit, my shears were far too new to use, so I switched to a brand old pair, and before long all the vines were looking just as unsightly as I remembered. 2 potatoes and the removal of the lower dirt scaffold later, it was time to shear some vines back onto the main structure, which is this bit in case you weren't observant. Anyway, vines were revined to their former starting positions, new shears were replaced with old ones, and eventually my base was fully restored and draped in its original camouflage Dagobah inspired fashion selection straight from the 80s. Nice. The disassembly of the 3-ringed walkway of safety was next, which is just as boring as it sounds, so I'm moving on. In fact, the rest was pretty standard stuff, even going in reverse, so I'll breeze over the details and just hit you off with the facts. Nap. Potato. Uncraft shears, iron into storage, ladders into sticks. Sticks into planks, removal of torches for more danger, torches into storage, potato! Removal of aesthetic floor, wood into chest, selfie. Removal of not 1, but 2 layers of dirt to expose the roots. Dirt into storage, stare at the base's roots and unthink about all future plans. The end. And that's how I transform my base from this into this. Are you fucking happy now? Good, but for making me undo all that, which now I've got to build again, here's my revenge. Just for the nerds wondering how I turned the clock off, I didn't. Couldn't shut the bloody thing off and ended back in episode 11 where the clock stopped working and blew up. I had to build everything again, I wasn't happy. Now, the clock I used to time travel blew up, but as I was back in episode 11, it still existed because I'd not used it yet and I didn't have to use it the second time round. So is the unused clock the same clock and have I created a new timeline? I really don't know. What do you reckon? Comment below. Take care, look after each other, and I'll see you in a bit, folks. Have a good one.
So, ich bin eu, oh, no, sim, I watch this,